chakra, obviously, sort of number 2 in the priority. Okay, so let's say you've got somebody that is very afraid, right? So let's say that, here's an example. Let's say somebody had their house broken into, and it wasn't, I mean, it was obviously a trauma. It wasn't the end of the world. That they stole maybe a few things, but now that person has quite a fear around their safety and their security, because obviously we would feel violated because somebody broke into our house, took our control away for that moment, right? And so they're very fearful about that, and let's say maybe they're even afraid to go back into the house or to stay overnight. So in that moment, all that energy, or predominantly that energy, is going to be focused in their sacral chakra. So you can sit there and you could talk to them, logically speaking, till you're blue in the face, and they aren't going to hear you, because using logic, and that awareness, which is obviously centered in some of the higher chakras, it's like we're talking at one frequency about logic, right? Okay, so what are the chances of him coming back, or them coming back, or kind of slim to none, all that kind of stuff. And the person could even understand that logically, but because there's been a trauma that has affected that sacral chakra, it's like when you talk, they're hearing wah, 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 because in that moment, their awareness or their focus is on that sacral chakra. And so sometimes what you can do if you're talking with the person is by identifying sort of what chakra they're kind of operating out of the most in that moment, it gives you an idea of how to speak with that person. Okay? So if that's where they're at, and the police have come and they've left, and now here's this person gets to go back into their house and sleep for the night after it's been broken into. So if you think about how, okay, so right now logic isn't going to work with a person, but maybe what you could do is you could sort of use some conversations that would help to identify with where they're at. So you could maybe talk to their feelings, talk to them about their feelings, and help them, or maybe even validate what they're feeling, right, wrong, or otherwise, right? And you could say, well, I can understand how you may not feel too comfortable about this, and even just speaking to them kind of at their level, right, and using words. So they're operating out of their sacral chakra, they've just had some trauma to that area. So rather than talking about them as logic, talk about how they may be, you could understand how they may be afraid, and you can understand how, you may be uncomfortable in staying there. And what that will do is, because you're resonating with them, because you're talking to them at that level, if you will, they're going to hear you. And it's amazing the power in speaking with somebody, or with somebody speaking with you, that's, let's say, at your same level, if I can use that word, because then you feel like somebody understands where you're coming from, or you feel validated. And sometimes that is more important than coming up with a solution. So many times we're focused on solutions. I know I am. And I'm a pretty resourceful individual, so, when somebody comes to me and they're talking about maybe an issue or something like that, first thing that comes to my mind is, okay, maybe I can have some solutions for them, or some thoughts or ideas for them. But sometimes there's more value in just picking and finding that level that they're at and speaking to them and with them at that level. Because then what happens is your two energies start to resonate, and then from there, and this is some of the things we talk about even in our master's class, then from there you can start to work with them, and then maybe kind of slowly bring them up, bring their awareness up into their solar plexus chakra, which is what we'll talk about next week, and then maybe even up to their heart chakra. And so what happens is, once we get that resonance happening, then their energy will start to flow up and up and up and up into the other ones, comes back up to their awareness, okay, up into their, let's say, their brown chakra, and then all of a sudden, they'll go, yeah, now that I think about it, I've changed the locks or whatever and all this kind of stuff, and I'm okay with it. You say, great, that's excellent. Now, that might have been where you wanted them to get to in the first place. But if you try to talk about them using logic, when they're operating out of the sacral chakra, right, which is very strong, very powerful, not near as much awareness, if you will, okay, then you may not ever get them there. But if you can sort of find out where they're at, speak to them at that level, in that moment, then they start to hear you, they start to understand, and then even just being with them and talking with them will start to help that awareness go back, or that energy flow back up to the chakras, so things are starting to be balanced, things are starting to flow, and then their body's able to release, right? They're able to sort of see the whole picture, their awareness comes back, if you will, and then they're able to choose what they wish to do. Okay, so, I must say we have a minute left. I'm really thinking I'm going to have to expand the show. I was going to say I'm more of a talker than I realized, but I think my students would probably readily agree with that. So our sacral chakra, the physical relationships, is our lower lumbar area in our back, our hips, the sex organs. Energetic psychological is food, shelter, and clothing. So I got 30 seconds left. One thing I forgot to mention is we've been creating an online academy. We call it the Online Academy of Science and Philosophy. And so I have neglected to send out the link to some visualization exercises. I talked about it in the root chakra. I had some folks email me. I haven't sent them out. My apologies. I will get to that in the next couple of days. And also, if you wish to have one on the sacral chakra, feel free to email me by going to healingcenter.ca. So healingcenter, center spelled C-E-N-T-E-R.ca. I'm out of time. Thank you.